nga bwendi kimpisa era
abo mu maka gano wetuukiddewo tubasanze bakyakungubagira nnyabwe eyatemulwa abasajja abalumba amaka gaabwe kati Sabbiiti Nnamba.
hati kutwabe tikiri aha hagati y'ikibuga ntikishoze ebintu baretwa bahika aha twagema aha batwikanze twabe twahika harya omukayikuri yaremu yabeshengereza bayanga bamutemu.
Omukyalo ono atutotoledde engeri abalumbaganyi bwe babazingako kyokka nga ye wadde yasobola okudduka nnyina eyali atuludde mu myaka teyasobola era bw'atyo bamutematema kumpi ng'abatema ekyokuttale.
Bamutema ebisya bamutemana n'oguhatakaraaka bamutema bati bagaruka batema ogw'omugongo bamutema mbwenu omu joints batema ebigyere amaguru gona mbwenu bakana bamutematema nk'oku kuba nootematema shana ekiti kandi hati tukazi
izoba ryatse ente yamujyana kuza kutyamuka
mu disitulikiti ye Tindikawa atubuulidde engeri gye yayingiramu amagye g'abafuzi b'amatwale agaali aga Kings African Rifles mu mwaka gwa 1959.
Bwe nali mu senior 3 abazungu bwe bajja okutubuulira ku by'amagye nali ngezaako okutuula S4 mu senior 3 nga baganye naye entale yali etandise okutuula kandi bwe bajja ne ndaba nti nyinza okugikola nga bali tebanaba okukola bati ne banyingiza mu magye nga private soldier.
Onagamba entalo z'amawanga mu kitundu ky'e Renzor tezisandise jjuze wabula zaavadda nga ne Uganda tenafuna bwetwaze.
Nali ngenda kusoma esandasi lwangwisayo nesigenda nali ngenda kubeera ofisa asooka mu Eastern Southern Africa kugendayo naye omulimu gwange gwali wa kunoonya camps.
Bw'atandikibwawo Isaiah Mukirane
oluvannyuma ne bakungana nkanaba
kigambibwa nti baatolo obwali bubaliisa kakanja
abato nga babatwala nga si bantu n'okusomerwa wali okiraba tebasobola okutuula omutoro yali tasobola okutuula n'omukonjo ku meeza.
Kino kigambibwa nti bawandiikira ne Queen wa Bungereza n'ekitongole kya UN nga beemulugunya ku batoolo abaali babayisanga ekyokuttale.
Mu kirani abakonjo bali bamagala ng'amuntu ye yabanunula.
Bino bigenda maaso ennaku zino mu bitundu by'e Rwenzor. Tindikawa agamba nti okutondawo obukulembeze obw'ensikirano wakati w'abamba n'abakonzo ye kanaaluzaala wa bino byonna.
Naye ekigendera kyabwe baali beetaaga okwetongoola kutoolo basi si bukama.
Oluvannyuma lwa Pulezidenti Museveni okukkiriza nti abamba batongozebwe waliwo okutya nti n'olunyiriro lwa Mpaliya omu ku baatandikawo obwetwaze buno banditandika okubanja okwekutula ku bamba.
Bandiwadde nga bebeera wamu.
Bundi bujo erimu amawanga amalala ng'ababwisi n'abatwa.
Bw'oba abakonjo waliwo kabiri endala bajja kwetaaga nabo bafune kabaka waabwe.
Entalo z'abatolo n'abakonjo era kigambibwa zaatandikira ku bulembe gw'omukama David Kasagama Kyebambe eyalwanyisa abakonjo ne baddukira e Congo.
Bwe yadduka n'agenda e Bwama bwe naayisa nnyo we n'agenda e Congo.
Olw'omulimu ogw'ettendo Tindikawa gwe yakola okumalawo obukubagano wakati w'abatolo n'abakonzo n'abamba atulaze ekitiibwa ekyamuweebwa n'abakyala wa Bungereza era n'amannya ge ne gawandiikibwa mu kitabo eky'ebyafaayo ki London Gazette.
N'omalawo olutalo nga tokubye ensasi ndowooza kyali kibeewa nga bewuunya nnyo tetwakuba n'essasi ne.
Jingo Francis, NTV ku ssaawa emu.
Webale nnyo Jingo Francis. Waliwo abaana abeekoledde erinnya mu kutyabula amazina era ng'entambi zaabwe zitondanga keekyeyo kya ku mukutu gw'omutimbagano ogwa internet ogwa YouTube. Abaana bano ababeera mu bitundu eby'omugotteko wano mu Kampala bazinidde nnyo ku nnyimba z'omuyimbi Eddie Kenzo. Omusasi waffe yabakyaliddeko era mwana wattu ne bamuyigiriza okutyabula amazina nga bo.
Bamusayi muto bano abataano abali wansi w'emyaka 15 babeera mu nzigota z'e Kampala. bano okutandika okutunda nga keeki eyo kyaku mu kutu gwa YouTube basooka kuzinira ku luyimba lwa Eddie Kenzo olwa City Alosi. Vidiyo y'oluyimba abaana bano mwe bazinira yakalabwa emirundi obukadde 3,819,382 era ng'eno yekyasinze okulabwa okuva mu Uganda. Abaana bano abeeyita Ghetto Kids ekyandivuunuddwa ng'abaana b'omu nzigota ddala babeera mu nzigota. Twabitaddemu engato yogayoga tutu emakindye gye bakolera okutendekebwa era twaludde ddaaki ne tugwa ku Patricia n'abakooza, Alan Tumwesige, Fred Tumusiime ne Alex Sempija. Bano buli omu alina ekyenjawulo ku munne. Patricia musirise era nga wansonyi, Alex ne Alan baddalu so nga Fred ye ebintu abikwata kimpowooze. Tetwasobodde kwogera na Bashir, akageri kaali mu kibiina ekyomusanvu era nga mu kaseera kano ali mu bibuuzo. Bano batendekebwa kati basobole okukuguka mu kunyeenya ku galiba enjole. Omusasi waffe naye tebalonzalonzezza kumuzinisa. Olwa vidiyo yaabwe okulabwa emirundi emingi, abantu basse emikono ku kiwandiiko ekisaba abaana bano okutwalibwa mu Amerika mu programu ya Ellen DeGeneres egenderera okukuza ebitone ebijja. Kino kyayitamu era nga bamusaayi muto bano wetwogerera essaawa yonna bakulinnya ennyonyi bagende mu ggwanga erya Amerika.
Kyekigendererwa kye nalina muli mu mutima nange neesunga okulinnyako ku nnyonyi n'abaana bagendeko.
Mpulira bulungi nga nawe banagamba nti ogenda bweru nga togendanga nayo. Naye nina olinnya ku naye.
Ekyo ekirooto nali sikimanyi, nali sikirina na mutwe nti oba ndigendako ebweru.
Eky'abaana bano okuzina nga tebali mu ssaati kyagendererwa okulaga kiki kyennyini kye bali mu bulamu bwabwe obwa bulijjo. Eddie Kenzo kati yabasasulira school fees, wabula ensimbi ezibayimirizaawo bazijja mu bivvulu bye bakola.
Bayinza okuwaayo 2 oba 10 n'ojja n'okola maybe awookoze owe10 oyinza okwesanga amaaso ng'ate ofunye wanaakuwaayo 3.
Alex abasinga obukulu ali mu siniya esooka agamba nti ye ebyokusoma yali tabyagala kyokka n'akakibwa okugenda mu ssomero. Bwe yatuula ekibiina ekyomusanvu omwaka oguwedde yafuna obubonero 13 era n'awangula ne sikaala okusomera obwereere olw'ekitono kye okumala omwaka mulamba.
Kuba nange nali simanyi nti ndifuuka kino kyendi.
Isaac ali mu kyokutaano, muganda wa Fred ali mu kyomukaaga. Nyaabwe agamba nti ekitone ky'abaana bano tekisaanidde kukwatibwa bubi.
Osanga bajja kunnyamba, n'ennyumba bajja kunzimbira, n'emmotoka nja kuvuga, n'ennyonyi nja kubuuka.
Ekyo nno kye bayita omuntu okubeera n'ekitone ate n'akikulaakulanya mu ngeri etali mbi. Tugenda kuwumulamu katono, nkomawo n'ag'ebyemizannyo, tovako NTV.
NTV, turning on your world. Sometimes children have amazing ideas, but they can lead to tough stains. And for tough stains, there's new Omo Fast Action. Its super fast cleaning technology removes stains fast. New Omo, no one removes tough stains faster.
Program Guide
Is brought to you by
Just a Smooth Yogurt. Program Guide. Jessa Smooth Yogurt comes in various flavors like vanilla, strawberry and banana. Jessa Farm Dairy. Always trusted, always delicious.
Today's highlight with
Nice and Lovely Body Lotion.
Here. This is all she said, but I need to know that woman.
Hello?
Hello, Lillian?
Yes, Daddy?
Lillian, we must leave town.
Daddy, what's going on?
Mama nange yava munafa.
Mambi mukazi watu. Olabye kale mukama musasuzi. Olaba. Nze mbulira kyompitidde. Mbulira kyompitidde nze ngende.
You bring out the best in me. New and improved Nice and Lovely Body Lotion. The 24-hour skin moisturizer that's your skin's best friend. The best in me.
And the change of government won't stop a thing. I've run out of fingers counting the number of multinationals setting up here. What about the 3 companies that announced their plans to launch last week? I say they're shopping. Me, I'd be looking to sell. At what price? More. Much, much more. I don't know who you are or how you know these things, but one thing I'm sure of, you're in the wrong job. Here, call me tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd like to hear more from you.
Are you ready for your big break? The East African, understanding the region.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
Goal in the 113th minute that propelled Germany to their 4th World Cup victory. Good morning and a warm welcome to Morning at NTV, as many of us do celebrate Germans' win last night, or should I say this morning. Thank you for joining us wherever you are watching us from. The final score yesterday, 1-0 against Argentina. Messi a bit subdued there in that game. Final score 1-0. The Germans took it at the Estadio de Maracana in Rio de Janeiro yesterday, and I must say I'm quite happy. Sad, but anyways, the first European country to take the World Cup trophy from South America. Now, good morning, Brian. Brian is on the other side of the Serena Hotel. I do not know if he's as happy as I am that the Germans are taking the trophy, or took the trophy yesterday.
Well, Mabel, first of all, this morning, if you can look at my eyes, I don't know if you can get a zoom in of my eyes. I am very sleepy because I obviously slept late. I knew Argentina was not going to win, but I was rooting for them because I knew if I supported Argentina, Germany would win. So I am like a devil's advocate. But congratulations to all supporters of Germany, and of course, what a way to end the World Cup. And all over the world, it is a celebration mood unless you support Argentina. This is Morning at NTV. My name is Brian Mlondo. And in a couple of minutes, we will get you underway. Joel Senyonyi, Simon Kesiate, Dakaba Chigongo are all here. And of course, Simon is celebrating the victory of Germany, while others, like Isma, are a bit not happy with the loss of Argentina. Before we get started, let's take a look at your question of the day. Well, it's a full moon today, and I guess that's why Germany won. If you can look at that moon, the sun, everything is full. So, in a celebration of Germany, I guess the universe has also decided to do that. Head over to our Facebook page, Morning at NTV. You can also use the SMS platform, that is 6565. Follow us individually on our on our Twitter handles at MBGold2, at Mebkeb, at Joel Senyonyi, at Dakabachigongo, at Kasiate. And let us continue the discussion over there. Now, of course, back to you, Mabel, who is standing by at the NTV studios with us stories that are shaping the headlines this morning.
But Brian, you're not very serious. You said you supported Argentina because you knew Germany would win. We shall see with the subsequent games that are coming up, whether in the Premier League or with other sport. Well, we'll take a look at some of the stories making headlines this morning. An insight into the Renzor conflict. The recent tribal clashes in the Renzor region have left a trail of unanswered questions. Why would the Bakonzo and the Bamba, who fought as allies against Toro subjugation, clash? Retired Captain Andrew Tindikawa, a former King's African Rifles officer, gives some insight into this conflict.
74-year-old retired Captain Andrew Tindikawa, now a resident of Chengera, hails from Ruchiga County in Kabale district. Tindikawa says he joined the King's African Rifles Army in 1959, which was under the colonial rule.
The army officers came to lecture to us, and I became very interested.
He now moves on crutches due to illness. Recounting his time in the King's African Rifles Army, Tindikawa recalls the racial Bago tribe.
Because I sat with them, I was the only black, and these were calling me monkey, monkey, monkey. But I did well past.
During his 6 months training stint in Nairobi, Tindikawa emerged one of the best soldiers. But before the British could send him to the elite Sandhurst Military Academy, the Renzor crisis began.
They wanted a team to go and find out whether or not these people had an army. And eventually they sent me with Captain Keith to go and hunt down the camps of these people, where we surprised Muchirani. Found him in the camp. We're not supposed to shoot, we're only supposed to destroy the camp.
On March 13, 1962, Isaiah Mukirane, Peter Muparia, and Jeremiah Kawamara lit the fuse of resentment when they walked out of Rukurato, Toro Kingdom's parliament.
The people who were oppressing them were not the colonial masters, but the Toro Kingdom. The Bamba and the Toro had to sit alone. They couldn't sit with the other ones. Looked at the Bakonjo as an inferior race, and the Bamba, either Mupadia Kawamara, had no aim of starting a kingdom.
They submitted their grievance to Omukama Kamura Sirukidi, which were rejected.
But he wrote me a note as commander over Renzor forces.
These leaders were then arrested and charged with crime under customary law for insulting the Omukama.
I nearly Mutoro would not sit with the Mkonjo at the table at school, in the dining room, or in class. And the Bakonjo became agitated.
They were released on bail on July 19, 1962. The following month, the Bakonjo and the Bamba retreated to the mountain with bows, arrows, sticks, and stones.
The aim was not to form a kingdom. The aim was to get independence from Toro Kingdom. But they had joined together. Now, if we create a kingdom on the western, on the Bakonjo side, they will also demand.
Aftermath of the recent attacks, President Museveni squarely laid blame on the intelligence agencies for not detecting the outbreak of violence.
See, the Bakonjo are very secretive in matters of security. To get information from them is very, very difficult. I used to get it because I was friendly, I used to walk in them.
Tindikawa says the creation of multiplicity of chiefdoms, which never existed, provided fuel, which will continue to burn the volatile Renzori.
I've always wondered why actually even the son of Mushirane was crowned. They had a political union, Mopadia, Kawamara, and Chirane. They should have gone to the genesis of this struggle. Now, if it is the Bakonja against other tribes, why is it that hadn't started before? I think a mistake is already done by creating fiefdoms. Within that tribal area, so there may be political rivalries, and they will continue. What about
his name went into the
work I did there? I was
disabilities are often discriminated against, especially at the employer continues to work.
Asked for a job. She offered a job to a 24 with hearing impairment.
She came actually inability, not
they did not accept.
Very good. Then I also most of the times when we have a lot of
Dorothy is communicating. Here
most of them say, if I chase her working in this kind of a place and interact.
You're still watching Morning at NTV. We now cross over to the gentleman as a supporter of the European later on in the evening.
You are Maybon, clearly the color of my bow tie speaks it all out. On which team it is that I am gloating with. And what that
had him, crowned king, and it is coming back to bite them, one would imagine. He's now so when they come to arrest the king.
Consequences. Does government even understand
that he's then Isaiah Mukiania, whatever the name is, Uganda, along that lines were chiefs.
Story on the top page here of the Daily Monitor, all these civilians are going to be tried in the court
of armed forces, obviously.
Manage business.
Other federations have done is to bring in private players who look at profit. So that's why we should not be complaining when companies like ESCOM come in.
Like,
I see where this is going.
If a government cannot run football, just a mere game of 12 men, how can they run the generation of electricity to power their nation? We're talking about ESCOM, by the way. I must tell you, we're coming back from a action-packed golf weekend in Ginger Club.
But you didn't
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. You not checked our Facebook.
I was following you on Twitter. I was following you on Twitter.
One of the things exactly, and I'm happy to congratulate this young man, Ronald Otile, a 22-year-old who won it, grand gross player from Fort Portal. So clearly you can see that we are an all-inclusive company that allow people coming in. He tested it out with the Ginger Best Boys, and well, the best golfer won, and we congratulate him. And of course, ESCOM for putting out such a wonderful event.
All right, quote of the day, this is by Archbishop Stanley Tagaleon, proposed Shisha ban. He says it's easy to point fingers at the church that we are not doing enough. We have been teaching and ensuring that this practice reduces.
Anyone blame the church for
it was an indictment when the police came out to say that, look, we are going to ban this thing, churches are not doing as enough, etc., etc.
Let's say this. The church has had 10 commandments for how many years? 2,000 years or all
more
this time?
than 2,000.
But sin remains too. The police, the police is charged with averting sin, to protect and serve. And the police has been there for as long as religion has been there. There must have been some policing authority around. But crime continues to take place. So the police would be the last person to point at the church for failure. Neither would the church be the right person to point at police for failure. They should both be aware that there is an infinite quest for improvement. There is no way that their preaching, no matter how hard it is, will avert sin in this world. Neither will policing. Even if they put one policeman to half a person, there would still be crime on this, especially committed by the police themselves.
Fred Enanga is coming on the big story. I'm sure he will have one or two things to say about that.
If he has enough time, he speaks very softly and quietly and slowly, and I hope he's been briefed properly that this is a 15-minute program where we expect 1,000 words.
Calm guy, I don't know. Museveni wrong to blame spies over attacks. This is according to Brigadier Kasirye Gwanga. This man who is in controversy after controversy. I sometimes don't believe he believes what he says.
Well, Professor Mambusi and Debesa, who was on the big story the other day, does opine here in the Daily Monitor, saying that the Renzori region attacks are more political than they are cultural.
The other day,
this point when he was
the other day we were talking about, the president was blaming his spies, but when you look at, for example, Special Branch was disbanded, and so there are not enough men on the ground to do intelligence as before. Isn't he right to say, okay, even some of them, they are not doing their job?
Well, I want to ask again who is doing their job in the government. I mean, well, there we have it, all this malfunctioning going on. One would also want to ask, where is our president? I mean, just like how we asked, with all these attacks, where are my ISOs? So someone who looks at Uganda from above may also want to ask, does this country actually have a president? I mean, that's just a question. You can throw it anywhere and the debate would certainly rage on.
And talking about what their job is, perhaps we need to dig deeper. What exactly does he and the establishment mean by their job? The other day we saw Kaihura quizzing NRM fellows for, internal happenings within the NRM, and you're thinking, are these guys not going beyond their bounds? I don't know.
I want to link that to the story on the Observer, because I think a part of me thinks that what we talk about most of the time is not real. West dominates state house jobs. And of course, many people will castigate the president for hiring people from his tribe. But if it were you, wouldn't you want to bring someone who, one, you speak the same language with, one, because, for example, the listen.
But they should be speaking English. I thought State House is one of the best.
Are we still debating that? For example, the Baganda think the Banyankore are rude. But Mnyankore knows that fellow Mnyankore want to be rude. So wouldn't you want to bring such people who understand
naturally a balance? Okay, there are more Westerners in State House. Let's look at the panel right here this morning, reading out the press review for these folks here. One would argue that at least there is 1/3 is Western and the 2/3 is Central.
No, one is not.
I said Central.
From Central.
I said Central. So you can see. So in other words, I could also, the Observer, please amend your headline tomorrow and say, Central dominates morning at NTV press review panel. I think I feel marginalized.
Here are the percentages. Western Uganda 48%, Central 33%, the East 12%, the North 5%. But it keeps playing out. Each president that comes with their batch of people, and it is worrisome.
Well, I mean, the two presidents of Benaisa and Yusuf didn't live long enough for us even to do the calculation. We had barely counted the number of staff. They left. There is an interesting feature story that did start out in the Sunday Monitor and is now spilling over the Monday edition of the Daily Monitor. We're talking about corporate prostitution, sex for money in massage parlors now. If you are the kind of kinky person that wants to understand what they are saying in this story, please get yourself a copy of today's edition of Daily Monitor and check out for yourself what exactly happens in these so-called massage parlors.
Viewpoint in the Observer. Somebody here says, Renzori clashes betray our sense of nationhood. And look, there is fear. There is fear. I was in Bali over the weekend. And by the way, in the 80s, Bali used to be the cleanest town in this country. You
can say that
slowly
again.
Dissipated. They're trying to put their act together slowly but surely. Understand there's a bylaw they passed over. Any new building should be 3 stories and above. But what I was talking about in Bali is you could hear undertones of people are concerned. They're thinking, is this thing not going to spread to the rest of the country? We hope it does not. We hope it does not. We need to be on the lookout.
Well, here we have it in the East African this week. We are looking at the East African community and the European Union meeting to settle unresolved economic partnership agreement. Two blocks
of budget, because without security, whatever you're planning is useless.
Well, on the other hand, I think we need to move away really from that kind of thinking, because indeed there have been times when we've had out of this roof defense budgeting when we are peacetime and there is not much going on, no operations going on. Where does that money go?
And they call it classified expenditure.
Exactly.
And then of course the concerns
do we ever know about any attacks that are averted?
Well, they call it classified expenditure. Fred Enanga just walking in will tell you, you think some of these things are classified, we are not supposed to know.
But that happens in every country. and I think from, Dr. Muhumza the other day when we were having the post-budget debate, said, all these things are linked together. If you want to practice agriculture, if the place is not secure, you're not going to practice it.
But I'll tell you why Ugandans are many times ambivalent. They feel this government of theirs is disingenuous. Even when they say classified expenditure is probably going to be given out, to propagate a Chankwan's resolution or that kind of thing. So people do not believe it, and that is where the biggest concern really is.
Well, when you look further into the Daily Monitor, you have your Monday pull out on healthy living, and we're talking about skin cancer as a headline story. But when you get deeper into the business section, you are now waking up to a new reality that commodity prices are shooting up as we, the ordinary forecast, always feel the budget impact. Let's not forget that this budget was billed by some as the most poor man and friendly budget, and yes, here it is coming in to haunt us.
Now,
well, in the Observer,
I like that.
Sorry, I was very taken up. You know, capitation grants, schools could close this week. Government has not sent money to schools.
Our priorities are the wrong side up. I keep using this example, and we probably forgot about it. You know, in 2005. When NTCs, needed money, they needed about 500 million shillings, to keep running. Government said we do not have money, and they closed. A short while thereafter, former Vice President Wandera Kaziwe, was given 2.5 billion shillings to go and do a PhD, and we keep thinking, where are our priorities? I'm yet to see results from that PhD. Besides the time she came,
no, she's been appointed now. She's on the board of the African Council of the Wise, so that should be. That should be good for us, right?
2.5 billion shillings. But the point here really is our priorities. Where are our priorities? We need to value education a great deal than we do. And talking about education, I saw here Shimoni is struggling a great deal. It used to be here Shimoni Destruction School. It was Demonstration School, and then they destroyed it. Little wonder that became the issue. But look, we've got to prioritize, right?
Right.
Well, talking about education, we are waking up to a headline story in the Red Paper this morning that the youngest member of parliament, Proscovia Alengot, has been knifed from Uganda Christian University. Let's not forget that this lady did win a by-election after the unfortunate demise of her father. She was just 19-year-old and pursuing a degree at the university, or the Uganda Christian University in Mukono. And reports coming in from the Red Paper, more so in the sleazy section, indicates that she has not only been missing in action in parliament, but she's also not been attending lectures, and this has led to her expulsion. One again would want to ask, what do you expect but a grant? I mean, Proscovia got herself into this mess, and I have little sympathy, not at all, based on her, and that is if what we read in the press is anything to go by. And as people who review the press, we should be the last people to question the authenticity of some of these stories. So we are assuming that what we tell these people is gospel truth. One time she's having relationship issues, which is very understandable at that age. But I think she sunk herself further deeper into the murky waters of politics at a relatively very young age, and I don't think she had the spine to cope up with all this. And that comes to the malaise of Uganda's politics, where people want to monetize everything. That if now Mulondo, for one reason or another, gets decapitated, then his son must come and replace him on, here on this very show. That if I mean, sometimes we drag our children into places.
I have a friend who just had a conversation with the MP and came back and told me, Brian, with all due respect, that girl should get out of parliament. Yeah, and so I'm like, why? Aren't you supposed to send this to her constituency?
So like, say that honorable member, I should possibly get out of.
Well,
now she's
I'm using the words that
your friends
use. So I'm thinking, well, the people voted for her, and that's why she's in parliament. Yeah, but
I think we're not being too hard on Alengot here. Look at that parliament of 375 MPs. By that description, you would think there's a lot more than that. But it's unfortunate she's struggling that way. I had a chat with some of her classmates, and they were telling me this was bound to happen. She was never in class, coursework, she was struggling, and so on.
I want to ask herself, how demanding is an MP's job for a 19-year-old that she misses out her classes? Alengot, I know that you possibly have to attend to constituency issues, but you are not the first person to study and hold a very demanding job. Yeah? Now, Daddy is speaking to you. Daddy used to do this job. 15 years ago, he used to wake up at 4 a.m. to go and read breakfast news on a certain TV station, spend the day reporting, holding a camera, running around, and at 5 o'clock, he would go to Makerere. Yes, he passed with a past degree. He could have made it better, but the job was demanding, but at least he made it on time for his classes. So, my dear young daughter, Proscovia Alengot, Honorable, please attend to classes, because classes is going to be the only sure way that you will survive. Unless, of course, you have other ways of surviving, because politics is not always the magic bullet to survive. What is it, boys?
It is because soon we are going to say that, look, for you to become a member of parliament, forget about this senior six, you know, as the yardstick.
That will not pass. That will not.
Considering just to go through that house.
Exactly. Well, talking about sport, this morning we're waking up to a story in the Daily Monitor. President Museveni flagging off the Ugandan team that will be representing this country at the 20th Commonwealth Games in Glasgow this year. We see him flagging off from a team, and I'm looking around in the picture and I'm seeing a little sportsmanly look as opposed to what sport are these guys going to?
As opposed to pot bellies.
Yeah,
they're not going for food competition.
No, maybe they're going for shot put or something. I don't see people teach here.
Or vehicle, for that matter.
No, the interesting bit is that when we send a contingent of 20 people for the games, there is 17 officials and 2 ill-fed and complaining sports officials.
And then we keep wondering why.
Let me not pour a cold water. We should show some nationalism, and we wish this team a tremendous deal of good luck, and we wish them to bring home medals. We will support you certainly all the way.
And I see the Observer in sports as well, they're saying focus now shifts to 2015 AFCON.
That's for our football?
We keep forgetting about this African Cup of Nations. We keep forgetting about this. Why? Because the African teams keep letting us down. But look, like you say, we let them down as well. We need to hip this up a little bit, financially and otherwise.
Well, I think now that the World Cup is over, we're going to get down to the usual annual madness of the English Premier League. And yes, now you know, those of you who are Manchester United, what you're getting at your place. One of these very days, you come with a third-placed coach. And of course, yesterday, people were gloating on social media that Arsenal players, many of them are holding the World Cup trophy in their hands. We're talking about Ozil and others, if I'm still right?
Well,
so I think there is a bit of consolation on your part.
Garage does not make you a curse. So let them come to their clubs and win. You know,
yes,
they are champions at the national level, but
you're really exuding
they may be like this wonderful player who has got the Ballon d'Or, the one who wins all tournaments as a wonderful footballer, and he assumed that as one man, he certainly would carry the nation. And you saw that the world was holding on towards the end of the match for a miracle from him, and he put up a spectacularly debilitating performance for that.
I'm not a soccer fan, but I was rooting for Argentina. I think they deserved it. I felt Messi deserved it, but they were just sympathy.
Out of sympathy?
I mean, I don't have any other reason to support them.
Germany were the best team.
I think so, and for these guys, they need to put forward their best foot.
I'm surprised, well, you're not asking me why I support Germany, but many other reasons.
You talked about your kids.
Maybe I know there is tremendous celebration from Stuttgart down to Berlin, across to Hamburg, and all these other wonderful German cities, as we know, they're Munich and Cologne. But what else is trending on the international scene, Mabel?
Simon, can I remind you that Ozil plays for Arsenal? In case you had forgotten, I hope you were able to hear me. But anyway, the main news story everywhere is the German victory, the 1-0 victory, 1-0 victory against Argentina last night or this morning. It depends on which part of the globe you're actually at. Here is the team. It was basically the best player versus the best team. No surprises that Germany actually took it in the end, with Messi taking the most valuable player. Now, on to CNN, we have 34 being killed in a brothel raid. This is where a block of apartments and some people wearing army uniform were killed, and they say it was actually a brothel. This is something CNN is reporting this morning. Again, lots of stories here about the World Cup on CNN. Now, last week we did talk about Ghana. About 200 Ghanaians are in Brazil, and they say they are asking for asylum because of religious conflict. Now, the Ministry there of Information has released a statement saying they are very disappointed because there is no religious tension in the country, Ghana. They are scandalized about this asylum bid from these people, and they say actually most of them are Ghanaian government officials who are seeking this asylum. And also here Angela Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany. Will this victory help her? Apparently, she has been accused of shamelessly attaching herself to the footballers and their success, and the polls have shown upward blips of support for her as the team has progressed. But will it last? We do know she is an ardent football fan. Even before she became Chancellor, she used to watch football games. But now, is she sucking it for all she can? Again here, a picture of her, Angela Merkel, congratulating the team, their celebration here, and just very interesting, Lionel Messi there being hugged. I think you can see the shape of his head. That is the German coach. And obviously here, beautiful trophy, something you feel like you want to eat this morning. And obviously here, agony from the Argentinian fans. Now, again, Germany were worthy winners of the World Cup in Brazil. The second most titles after this one is the fourth. They are at a tie with Italy. The Costa Concordia is being refloated, and possibly the last remaining body, which has not been discovered for over a year, may be found as this ship makes its final journey. Now on to the Al Jazeera here. Israeli raids on Gaza enter the 7th day. Israeli keeps up deadly strikes and artillery fire as Gazans flee the north, and diplomatic impetus grows. Now, that's all we had for you. I'm definitely sure we'll be talking lots more about the World Cup and Germans' win. Was it spectacular or was it ordinary? Morning at NTV continues after this break.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
Yes, Towakana with 1 million shillings up for grabs every day. Kagwida Woku Airtel Money. Simply send and receive money. Top up your airtime or data. Pay for utility bills, groceries, fuel, and much more with Airtel Money. And you could be one of the day's 5 lucky winners. And if Mr. Money and his crew find you making a transaction, you win cash on the spot. Terms and conditions apply.
Airtel Money. Simple, secure, instant.
Coming soon on NTV. Soon on NTV.
Hey there, Mr. Krabs! Are you ready to party?
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it, move it.
Wow! Hello, fellow motor enthusiastics.
Oh, Mr. Krabs! Isn't there any way for us to return all of them back to normal?
Hey! How'd he do that?
The Red Ranger's a bigger problem than I thought.
It's time to finish this thing up!
What can I do to make them love me again?
What are you drawing, Kitty?
Mega Rangers? Yeah! That's a mega win!
Hello?
King
Julian, you are truly inspiring. Ow!
SpongeBob! Fantastic!
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
Welcome back. We now cross over to Simon, who is at the rooftop of the Serena Hotel. Good morning, Simon.
Yeah. Morning, Mabel. Yes, indeed. It's a sunny, wonderful Monday morning, the 14th day of July 2014, and we're coming to you live from the rooftop of the Kampala Serena Hotel. This morning, the big story is certainly not the World Cup, because after all, you know how far the Uganda Cranes did go in vying for that competition. And neither is there any African team worth talking about that went beyond the group of the final 16. And so this morning, we'll get down to our domestic issues, the very issues that bring food and bread on our tables, the very issues that affect you and I. And yes, we're still reeling from that insecurity spate in the Renzor region. And this morning, we are looking at an update and the aftermath of what's going in there. I mean, we've heard of the death toll increasing to about 60 people killed so far. We know that security agencies led by the army are combing the mountains for any remnants of the attackers. We know that the General Court Martial has pitched camp in that part of the country, waiting to try those who were found in possession of equipment or arsenal that's a preserve of security forces, and yet they are civilians. We also know for a fact that the DPP is very busy this morning combing through the files of those others who were arrested, but who will have to face the civilian courts for reasons, of course, best known to the investigating authority, which is the police. We also know that the police chief has been and remains in there. So this morning, the police spokesperson, Mr. Fred Enanga, is with us to give us an update on all those happenings in the region, and possibly also to reassure Ugandans that such a spate as we did see playing out in the Renzor region does not sprout in any other part of the country, that the police is on top of their game. We'll be right back. A very good morning, and good morning, Fred.
Yeah, good morning.
You'll allow me to call you, go by the name of Fred, but of course introduce you as the police spokesperson who is here to share with us, you know, the happenings and give us an update on this Renzor situation.
Yeah.
From an overview perspective, can we calmly say that calm and peace has been restored in this part of the country?
Yeah, we can get to actually say that. And we want to thank the combined force of the UPDF and the police for having responded, and for the level of pursuit, and of course now for what we are consolidating.
Well, Fred, indeed we can gloat over how much you've restored calm, but one knows that one of the mandates, the key performance indicators of a formidable police force is one that should be able to detect, prevent, and stop crime. That you grossly failed on, and that's why the president was saying, where are my GSOs? Which may not be an arm of police, but so as police, doesn't it bother you that you were unable to curb this situation before it went haywire? And of course, we do commiserate with you that you lost one of your very own in an ambush sort of attack, but clearly this should have been nipped in the bud. Maybe someone can argue.
Yes. Yeah, it's a combination of factors in there, because as far as security is, we multiply, and sometimes also the tactics that you get to use in the way you respond also matters. It is true that there were warning signs, early warning signs, and an intelligence report generated at that low level. And however, there was an intelligence breakdown at a certain stage that there was failure for turning it into actionable intelligence and responding in time. Because it was indicating, yes, that there are some training camps. And you know, the Renzor is highly secluded to the dominant tribe there, that is the Bakonjo. You don't just go there. Wherever they have anything to do with sacred meetings and things that are so pertinent to them, they'll never hold them in the urban centers. They claim the mountains, and they do everything from up there. So the fact that the trainings were actually going up there, and yes, there was some knowledge, of course, but there was an inability of an action officer who was supposed to get to set the ball.
Or maybe the issues for which they were training are so close to their hearts that even your very own officers who are from that same community, you know, paid allegiance more to their tribal grouping and whims and fancies, as opposed to the greater good of nation. How about that?
Yeah,
how are you handling that? Because now when you have a cop who is sent in as you know, what do you call them? The people, the police officers who you insert in a criminal situation, undercover cop. Exactly. When you have an undercover cop going rogue and abating crime instead, that for me is a serious problem. I do not know how you're handling that in the Ugandan police. So if you have any culprits, for that matter.
Yeah, you know, these are things we are taken through in training on how you should be a good police officer. And of course, the values that you should get to have, how you should uphold the values of the country and put your country above anything else. But of course, in our African tradition, we do have that cultural attachment that you find if we tend to lean more to culture.
That you're supposed to be an impartial journalist, to report without any bias. But when it comes to an issue of your tribe, then somehow you find yourself. So isn't that at the point where you declare a conflict of interest?
Yeah, there is definitely conflict of interest there. And you see, these are very strong cultural institutions. They really still follow those traditional norms and still go by them a lot. That some of the things they do are highly secretive. It's not only in the Renzor, but even into these other cultures, you really find that still we look a lot to attachment. People like to, it's only few, but people will always lean towards cultural issues, and if there's conflict, a person wants to distance himself. No, that's my tribe and culture. I can't get.
But Fred, now you're changing the narrative, and indeed you are quite a good spin doctor here. I mean, there's a lot of word going around that this, in fact, is not a cultural insertion that or insurrection. This is a political movement. We are seeing rebel forces. Why else would the tribe Enanga outer Serengeti to the tribe Kasiate, and they have to attack police station X? Why do they have to do that if Kasiate and Enanga are two tribes that are not armed, or if they are armed, they are armed with the arsenal that is way below that of the police that they have attacked? Are you really saying that there was no element of rebellion at that level?
No, they had a fabric of arsenal. They had guns, they had catapults, they had pangas, and they had spears and bows. Now, it's not about the arsenal of arms that they have, whether some of them have referred to them as very primitive, but the fact that they have the guts to get to attack a well-established government facility, not just these ordinary ones, but a government forces, a barracks, which you know is well guarded.
It's fortified.
That really shows you the amount of determination that actually somebody has.
Away from
that is an attack on government.
Yeah, but that now turns them from being a tribal little militia to a formidable rebel force that is out to topple a government.
Why they get to do that is because we are part of government. And you see, because of the emergence and recognition of these other smaller minority tribes, that of course they had looked at as subjects. And you know what tradition has been in the Western Corridor, even in Toru. There is when, I read one time in the history, when the Bakonjo, through their regents and the Bamba, had gone to Toru Kingdom so that they can rotate the prime ministership. And what did the Omukama tell them? What? Mkonjo to be a prime minister? And Bamba to be a prime minister?
And
that is not going to happen.
And that is when the father of Mumbere walked out.
Exactly. So
now Mumbere is calling for the ouster of President Museveni, at least from what the Red Paper is saying. Talking about this, we see a lot of political comments coming in from the Obusinga of Renzor, from the highest level. Is this worrying you? Is this something that the police is taking very keen follow on? Isn't this war drums being sounded? Is this called sub-rattling? And are you going to let it to boiling point?
Yeah, of course we know what the police role actually there is. We have people whom we have arrested. And of course they've given us some leads. And out of the leads we have, of course, we shall have to prefer some charges against them. Of course, because there is an element of crime. When you say
prefer some charges against them, you're talking about who? The leaders
of course,
of the Obusinga?
There's a role that, of course, remember we had arrested suspects without arresting any ministers under the Obusinga. Now, out of the information that we get to learn that there was an involvement, participation by ministers under the Opsinga, who logistically facilitated the trainings and, of course, assisted in procuring the services of the witch doctors from Butembo, on the other side where we also have the Bakonjo. And this information is not our own making. It is information that we are picking from the suspects who are cooperating actually with us. And so when they give us that information, we start picking onto these ministers.
If the ministers now come in and point the fingers to their king, they are working under the instructions of their king. Tell us, I mean, I do not know whether you are very comfortable discussing what the ramifications of arresting Mumbere would be, but is it something that the police considers as an option?
No, but I would, I think a king, of course, like he has been coming out, he needs really to come out and explain to, not the Renzor alone, but Uganda at large, that his kingdom is not involved in this. So that is out open. Of course, he has come out in the media, he
called a press conference, but you as the police may be interested in having him explain this on pen to paper in the police station, making a statement. And of course, when you're in police custody, making a statement, that in itself has a symbolic gesture that it shows out, especially his subjects. Wouldn't this foment their resolve to cause even more mayhem?
Yeah, but of course, the subjects also need accountability. Now, if this is what has been taking place really, and actually some of the subjects know that yes, there was an involvement of course, some of their traditional leaders, and because they were not happy with what was actually happening, the Basongora coming out, I mean the Banyabindi coming out to celebrate 50 years of the other massacre, and then the Basongora coming out, we also want a king. And this comes with recognition of traditional boundaries of land. That means that now it would bring out a demarcation and so on. And this is something that the Bakonjo have never accepted. They have said these are indigenous people who shouldn't even benefit from any of the resources around there.
Interesting, so, but Enanga, the Uganda police does pride itself in what you now term as community policing, where you reach out to communities and preach onto them the message that you are your own brother's keeper. And this has helped avert crime in many parts of the country, especially urban centers. Are you transplanting this kind of model to the Renzor region, that going forward, we create some level of community awareness of some of these subterranean boilings, or are you still struggling with the secretive nature and very highly fortified hearts of the Bakonzo people?
No. At least there's some improvement. You know, this is the best model where, of course, you involve the community. And even in that community intelligence that failed, the community was actually bringing out this information and giving it to our intelligence officers at that level, and indicating that there is something actually brewing. Even those ones who refused to get indoctrinated, and because they were actually anticipating problems at the end of it. But okay, that one happened. Now what we are doing is trying to get, of course, to reassure the public that this happened, but we need to get unified once again. And we've opened reception centers that are being manned by the Bakonjo elders, who are encouraging their colleagues to come
down.
And it has really, with the police, we are not there.
But you know, when you speak, your body language, the way you explain your words, one would imagine that this is a battalion of police just straight from heaven, nice people. But we've seen images coming in from Kasese that show that the arrests of some of these suspects were what human rights activists and all those who believe in the dignity of the human person, some of your arrests were carried out in a mode that is not so arrest-friendly, if I may use that word. Why do you always swing into that kind of action and then put yourself in battle combat and drag people, throw them at back of pickup truck, stack them inside there, step on them? I mean, we understand that you have a job to do, and we of course understand that some of these people are not easy to arrest. They are very difficult people. But why do we see how some of these images playing out? And when they do, what do you do to some of these errant officers who put the image of the otherwise angelic police as you portray yourself here at risk?
But you know, on the side of the media, you always look for news. you really bring out that part which is more captivating, of course, to society, to show that there is a very big problem.
No, but I'll give you a personal...
Why don't you also pick the other good part of it?
That's why I just commended you for being such a wonderful, well-articulated and disciplined officer. But on the other hand, I want to share with you a personal escapade that on Thursday, wrongfully, I made a U-turn in the middle of the city. It just dawned on me. Of course, you know, there are not enough signs to show that you shouldn't do it here. Sometimes you're in a rush, so you just take your risk. And the police officer called Odele comes to me, reads me the Riot Act. I request him that kindly allow me cross the road, attend to some very urgent issue. When I come back, we can drive together to CPS. And by the time I return, there is a breakdown truck right behind my car, and then the officer, the colleague Naturinda, is yakking off the number plate of my car. I'm asking myself, why all this brutal force on a very small incident like this, in my view, which would have been sorted by cancelling somebody and say, look, you took a U-turn in the wrong spot. In fact, I'm giving you a ticket, I'm taking you to CPS, you spend the night in the coolers, as opposed to that kind of drama and show. So if there was a cameraman passing by, you think you wouldn't have made it to the headlines?
Probably we would have, but so the good thing is you also indicated there was a wrong turn, of course, that you did.
Well capitulated.
And of course, I presume the car probably, I can't imagine the scene. Maybe you had parked poorly.
No, I parked very well, but they came on the other crane.
Actually, many people have not lived to their word. They tell us, okay, I'm going across and getting to come back, and so on, and the person just abandons the vehicle.
You work on the presumption of guilt.
Yes.
I like that.
Something like that. So, anyway.
But getting down to curbing the errant officers that go out of their way sometimes to go beyond what should be the call of duty and get overzealous on the job. Citizens need that kind of reassurance that they have a point of recourse, as opposed to having a police that many people will now even fear to attend to, because for them they are a law above themselves.
Yes. No, you see, at the top and middle level, with the officers and the immediate supervisors, the NCOs, there is some bit of improvement. We still have a problem with addressing the attitude and the customer care at these other levels. But of course, in these commemorative events that we are having, we have a matrix where we have initiatives of really opening up to the public and getting to work on our front desk officers and our front men who actually get out to the public and asking them to improve. Not just asking them, but we are having very short refresher courses on how they need to handle the public. Because people really, a person comes at the counter, is not free at all, and we're even going to change
the way
the way the setting.
Why so that put a little reception table with some coffee?
That is what we are looking at, having at least some furniture and not just arriving onto the counter.
So and that if you must wait, if there's somebody there, you have to stand outside.
You have to stand outside and so on and so forth.
But
so
Fred,
we are changing all that.
We understand that, but we've looked at police stations, not this CPS of yours that is well fortified, or the Ginger CPS or the Mbale CPS. Let's look at the little, small, very close to the people police stations. Many of them are in a state of dissolution, and you can't imagine what it looks like. For the most part, you'll pardon me, I always move with some of these very disturbing gadgets. Sorry for that. And I must apologize to our viewers as well. These are stations that are grappling with the lack of facilitation, both from an operational point and even individual. Police officers are living in desolate conditions. Perhaps that explains why they behave desperately, because they have inherent problems amongst themselves. Isn't it better that you attend to those operational and welfare issues before you can look at the grand whitewashing? Like they already say, why do you want to wash the tomb so nice and white on top when inside maggots are
when inside, Yeah, you know, when it comes to policing, my brother Kasiate, like most of these police stations have actually evolved out of being police posts. And the police posts had, most especially those ones which are deep, had been established upon the request of the public after having due to the security and operational requirements on the ground. So they come out, even with the help of their politicians, and then to the DPC, and they say, you know what, we have this provision. We have already housed you, it's just free. We can let the police come and start in form of an aid and then something like that. Then, of course, when you go, and it has actually helped a lot, because we cannot wait for having, if we talk of waiting, Kasiat, for the budget to get to improve on the side of police, and then we start establishing nice police stations with very good. Your guys better. What about security? You know, the level of response will be a bit of a problem. So we have taken over these police these structures and paid rent for them, and had the police at least there and nearer, much more nearer to.
Yes, but Fred, you know, you're talking more about that, the form. Now we're looking at the substance, the welfare issue.
Exactly. Now the welfare issue. I'm happy to tell you that out of the restructuring of the police, we have a fully fledged directorate of welfare now that is actually addressing those issues. We've come up with a number of welfare programs in terms of circles, in terms of duty-free shops, and on the side of police, if you go to the northern part of Uganda, of course we are doing it in phases. You look at the police stations that are really coming up with very good accommodation, 2-room houses, and our policemen in that area, up to the Karamoja region, are actually
motivated,
and much happier. Then, of course, those programs are being rolled out in phases, to
other places. Now, Fred, as we conclude this, because time is certainly not an ally on our side, and sorry to drag you away from the Renzor issue, but when I have the privilege of having the police spokesperson, I will drop in the elephant in the room. Now, let's get down to what we want to consider an elephant in the room of Uganda's police as it is today. Allegations fly left, right, and center that you have become a highly politicized force and you've become a highly militarized force thanks to the presence of an army general at the helm. How do you receive such allegations? People say you are no longer the civilian force that you used to be, that you are in fact partisan. You go out to quell political discontent when it is against the government, and you seem to abet, you know, kind of, you know, a wanton breakdown of laws, especially if it's coming in from the NRM.
No, but Kasiate, you know, if a police officer comes to arrest you now here, you won't just go. There will be an element of, you falling back, saying, let me first make a few calls and this and this.
Or if I'm sizing him up and if I can wrestle him,
what is actually happening, you've seen some of the, when we go out and we are confronting people in these riots and so on and so on, they have really not given respect to somebody in uniform. You have to take an amount of force. People, we have the public, of course, engaging us, confronting us, and
more so being led by very senior, you know, politicians of the name,
of course,
whose actions are seen as cues for others.
It would be painful. It happened when I used to be in Zimbabwe. You know, a policeman has gone to arrest, then on the other side is being chased. The civilians are saying, no, the policeman doesn't shoot, he won't shoot, let's go after him. And you see a policeman running with a gun. It's really painful. So we've of course, we want to restrict the use of the gun. We have...
but you want to restore a bit of some of that lost dignity.
Yes, we've trained, we are coming up with the... we've trained most of our field force units in new skills, of course, using their hands and so on to subdue the
challenge ahead of
the challenges that are ahead of us. But it is not just being militaristic. When a police officer is part, because I won't allow for somebody to come and antagonize the peace of this country. And by bringing in things like riots, if there are other means formally that you can have such things resolved. So when we show the love that we have for our country, people say that we are politicians. And it is provided for in the Constitution. A police officer, you have to be patriotic. You have to get to love your country. And it is actually something that we have inborn.
I don't know whether this I should ask you.
But the thing about militarism, you look at the responses these days from the public. You have talked of the arrests. Do they really come easily?
So in other words, you're saying, like Chinua Achebe, I always say that the more the hunter learned how to shoot without missing, the more the birds learned how to fly without patching. So the more militant we, the arrestees, are getting, the more militant you, the arresters, tend to get. So it can only get better if we abide by, we come, know that the police officer is here on duty, says you're under arrest, you put up your hands, you kneel down.
Very simple. And people have walked to police stations.
I do that myself.
And come out,
I would do
even
that
without
myself.
police bond. Then you see them come. I came out from the police, there were no charges opened against me, and you turn it into something. It's a normal thing for you to enter the police station and come out.
Fred Enanga, I must thank you really for being with us this morning and sharing with us that vast knowledge that you have of the police. Maybe just one final question. The police, the public, that relationship going forward. Where do we, and your grand plans, of course, for me, this is a 100-year-old institution.
Yeah, it is.
What do we expect that we've not had from your side as a final push into making you a more professional police force?
No, we've really opened up. In these 100+ years, we are opening up for people to get to know the police. All these 19 directorates, people don't know what takes place actually there. So we are really opening up, inviting the people. You can get the maximum amount of accountability that you want from the police force today.
The last time there was a World Cup final in this country, we had debilitating scenes, and we will never forget 11th of July that year. The World Cup just ended last night, or should I say this morning. Very briefly, will we give us a situation report from where you, I'm sure you get these briefs from across the country. What can you say very finally on the last 1 month of policing throughout the World Cup?
Very successful. We didn't, it's very scar-free. We didn't have any incidents, and I was waiting for you to say thank you. And
I had to first ask you for you to tell me what the situation is, then I can officially say thank you.
No, we came out very, very successful, and we want to thank the public. Citizen activism, they really came out. They are those ones who really took the messages very clearly, not moving out so late during those ordinary hours.
I had to remain at the confines of my home.
They remained, and it's good we are seeing you here today.
To tell this
and also for our mobile teams, counterterrorism, JAT, JIG, ISO, ESO. Thank you.
Mr. Fred Enanga, we must thank you again for this
you.
epic performance over the World Cup that normally is now tainted with a bit of blood. Now at least we've now had a bit of cleanup on that. But we also want to thank you for taking time to be here with us and explain to us the situation in the Renzor.
Invite me again. You know it comes with a cup of coffee.
Absolutely, which you have not taken. I am not very much happy. But I would have expected you to take it while you are on the set. But I'm glad that you did. Let's take a short break. When we return, as Simon says. Well, at the risk of adulterating the very well-calculated and soberly presented words of the police spokesperson, I can only reiterate that the situation in the Renzori region is, to a large extent, returning to normal, and the police is doing its formidable job to ensure that the little remnants are also sorted out, and whatever needs to be done in terms of investigations, further arrests and further investigations continue. But all this happening on the backdrop of returned peace and coexistence of the communities in there. Now, I will do my usual preaching like I did last week when I hosted Professor Mambusi and Debesa here. If you were following, for me, I have always believed in peaceful coexistence of all people, irrespective of what tribe or what tribe you come from, or what faith or creed you profess, or even the size of your nose, the color of your skin, whatever it is that many of us seem to tag on to separate us. But also know that if there is a political contestation or a political message that you need to put across to the powers that be, there are clearly laid out modalities that should guide you, that will not lead to this kind of devastation, destruction, and the loss of lives and properties. But if you say that's the price to pay for political agitation, well then declare war formally, so that then you are not working under the guise of ambushes, and we know that's an open front, and then you'll be confronted by the respective government authorities that are supposed to be protecting the ordinary citizens who, for the most part, you want to put in danger. When all this is considered, I think that this country will move from better to better, and of course our lives will be protected so that we can engage in productive activities for not only our growth, but the growth of the nation, to create a formidable environment for our children and our children's children. Now, talking about being profitable, as I always say every morning, let's start this wonderful week with productivity. Many of you have spent the last 1 month sleeping very late because of the World Cup that is over. Let's get down some serious working. I mean, the betting houses, of course, you know that you've been making quite a kill, but let's not forget that you have taxes to pay, especially with this kind of budget. You're not going to be sleeping on the job, as they say. So have a wonderful and productive week. God bless.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
You can bring everybody in parliament as long as they can wake up and vote for the NRM.
As long as the voters exercise their rights to elect their leaders, there was no need for term limits in Uganda.
I know him. I know how he operates. I know how he thinks.
There are ways you can go around these obstacles.
Why should I conduct myself as if I am Muyai?
It's absolutely true. I admired the President Museveni.
Is the ICC a fiscal code targeting African leaders?
You cannot tell me that the whole trouble Kenya had revolved about only 2 individuals.
The money is not in the budget of this financial year.
You can't beat God. You see, God is polygamous also. Look at Jeremiah chapter 31.
The security of this country will largely depend on the contribution that the people make.
We've had so many stories about albinos being hunted for their hair, for their saliva, for their nails.
Unraveling the myths and misconceptions of albinism in Uganda.
It is a genetic condition. It is caused by the lack of one enzyme, tyrosinase.
Our members have died of skin cancer, and many people want to just attend that burial ceremony just to witness.
NTV gets to grips with the reasons why albinos are being hounded out in rural parts of the country.
I'm going to blow your mind and I'm going to twist your taste buds. The flavors are already coming together. I can feel them. Very lovely, very appetizing, very healthy. Remember, the way you see it, the way you like it, is the way you get it from my kitchen to your kitchen.
The average age of the international team is under 18. And so
the primary role of Team Uganda is to remain to Division 2.
Probably that's the only thing that can make 1 or 2 rugby fans smile, that the Cubs are doing well.
The players haven't put on they haven't wore the game faces. They're not the animals we saw last season, because Ferguson had the same group of players and he did deliver the Holy Grail, which is the title.
Obonyumirwa ebyemizannyo jangu nkulage.
Does! And Adam Johnson, the boyhood Newcastle United man, Derek, flying in the face of all football logic. A magnificent goal by Robin van Persie. Ferdinand! Everton lead at Old Trafford. Walcott, Giroud.
Sakana with 1 million shillings up for grabs every day. Kagwida Woku Airtel Money. Simply send and receive money. Top up your airtime or data. Pay for utility bills, groceries, fuel, and much more with Airtel Money. And you could be one of the day's 5 lucky winners. And if Mr. Money and his crew find you making a transaction, you win cash on the spot. Terms and conditions apply.
Airtel Money. Simple, secure, instant.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
Thank you for joining us here at Morning at NTV, a day after the World Cup, a game that saw Germany win the 4th trophy after a 1-0 win over Argentina. A picture here of Naomi Campbell posing with as a trophy in a way. The winners, the German team, are all going to get gold-plated earphones. She's actually wearing some headphones, obviously beats from Dre. Now, for those of you who are hating on me because I love England, I just thought, is this the next generation of the English team that could possibly win the World Cup in, let's say, Qatar? This is David Beckham here with his 3 sons, Brooklyn Cruz and Romeo, at Rio as they watched the World Cup final yesterday. Now, there was another interesting picture that I came across about the A to Z of the World Cup. But moving on to some of your messages this morning on Facebook, someone is saying, Kasiate, are you at Desert Island Discs? You are interviewing, I think, deeply. And then someone here saying, German, oye, good morning, you guys. Greetings to the team. Good morning again. Congratulations to Germany. Kongs to the Kiprotich of golf of Uganda. He won something. And again, kongs to all the German fans. We shall now be crossing over to Brian for Everyday Life. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning,
Are you
Mabel.
talking about...
I don't understand why you say that we are hating on you because you support England. The moment you support England, we stop hating and we just feel sorry for you. So
did you see the picture I showed earlier?
But I am sure... What are you saying?
The picture. I showed a picture earlier of the next team, David Beckham and his 3 sons. So there's some hope for England.
Beckham's generation ended and his sons are also in a different generation. But it was nice to see him at the World Cup taking selfies with people. Yeah, it definitely shows that the man is still there. Of course, he's now, I think, more into private business. Well, this morning on Everyday Life, we are going to look at bouncing back after failure. There are some students right now at university probably has had a couple of retakes and is at the point where they can't go to school anymore. Some of us have hated our job so much that we've become bad at that job. Others give up on chasing their dream jobs. This morning, we're going to help you bounce back regardless of the failure you've gone through. Coming up on Everyday Life. Now, when people fall short of their expectations, they give up. And all they have is themselves. And some of them consider suicide. Others do not even consider the possibility of rising up again. Whether it's in academics, the job market, relationships, even failing to wake up every day. I've gone through some of these things. And this morning, Samuel Bakutana from Delta Communications is here to help us understand how you can bounce back after failure. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, bro.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
You're looking awake, regardless of regardless that you are supporting Argentina.
I have to bounce back this morning. I didn't support Argentina. I didn't support Germany. I just enjoyed the game.
You just enjoyed the game.
You know.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Brian.
Someone may ask you, first of all, what is failure? Okay, you're telling me to bounce back from failure.
Yeah.
But what is even failure?
Failure is what you think failure is. You see, quite often we want to look for the dictionary, etymological, concordant definition of words, you know how you... No, everything is what you make it. Life is what you make it. Marriage is what you make it. Success is how you define it. Failure is what you think it is. For instance, what people always call failure to me really is not that to be called failure. So failure is what you think it is to you. The point is information, not fully. Is it because your communication skills? Is it because you were dressed inappropriately for that specifically?
I always tell that myself, maybe they were Facebook. What do you do if you, for example, say you can in the company, you don't just come 1 year.
Take quantum leaps. In other words, it's not necessarily true that, for instance, when you get into an organization, you must first of all spend 8 years before you become the head of the department or the manager or the CEO. There is what we call quantum leaps. We need to understand the art of maximizing the opportunities we have and taking quantum leaps by harnessing the power of what we call leverage. How do you do more with less? How do you maximize your productivity with less activity? So, for instance, in that organization where you are working, ask yourself, how can I produce more results that can catapult me into the place that I want to go to?
Yeah.
You see, quite often I have always said that it's not about activity, it's about productivity. Hey, you can be very active, you can be busy, but busy accomplishing nothing.
Yeah.
You can be very active, but not productive. It's not about how much you do, how hard you work. It's about how smart you are with what you are doing. If it was about hard work, then I think my grandmother would be the richest woman on earth. You know, waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning, by 7 a.m. she's in the garden, using the hoe, sweating, you know, everything that she could ever do. By 4 p.m. she's still in the garden. That should be the richest person because she's working really very hard. But it's not about activity, it's about productivity. It's not about how much you do, it's about how smart you are at what you are doing. It's about how you are leveraging your time. For instance, are you in good books with somebody who matters in that organization? Simple but powerful question. How is your network? You know your net worth is equal to your network. Who are the people that you are flocking with? At this point, I remember a certain friend of mine who told he works with some organization in town here, a property management organization. He's one of the property managers. But he told me about a certain colleague at the workplace. For him, he's not this, you know, smart guy, as in the mind, he's not that intelligent. He's not that. But he has two strong points that have always catapulted him into places that others have not been going to.
Yeah.
One, he's always smart, the way he dresses. And two, whenever they are in the meetings for the organization, the man speaks and speaks and speaks. Even when he's speaking not exactly a lot of sense, but he's contributing.
The boss sees that he's in the...
So whenever the boss is going outside the country or somewhere else for a trip or a business meeting or what, he leaves this guy in the seat, in the office.
Wow.
Why? Because he knows when people come in, the guy is going to engage them in a conversation.
Yes.
Two, they are going to find a smart man in the office. So that is what I'm talking about. Sometimes the things that we are looking at to bring our promotions that we want are not the things that we are supposed to be looking at. So the way you package yourself will catapult you to that place. Your communication skills will catapult you to that place. Your integrity, your personal integrity will catapult you to that place. Recently, I was reading something about Warren Buffett, this rich man. And he said a powerful statement which has clung into my mind for the last 1 month. He said, when I'm going to hire people, I look for 3 things. One, intelligence. Is this guy intelligent?
Yeah.
Number 2, high energy level. Is he personally motivated? And then number 3, personal integrity. But he went on and said, if this person does not have personal integrity, the other 2 will kill him. Intelligence and high energy level without personal integrity will kill you. So those are some of the things we need to look at if we are to bounce back and if we are to climb the corporate ladder like some people are talking about proverbially.
Samba Kutana.
Sir.
I wish I could get more time with you.
It's within your hand, it's within your power. So don't say I wish, make it so.
From Delta Communications, Samba Kutana
Delta Communities Uganda.
Communities Uganda is the national coordinator this morning, and I'm telling you, I have taken the seat of a viewer this morning and listened, and I don't know about you. The good book, James, in James 3:2 says we all stumble in many ways, but the point is bouncing back from those ways that you've stumbled.
Exactly.
And I want to inspire you this morning to get up on your, you know, I was going to say on your lazy, and go and get out and start dreaming.
Yeah.
And start inspiring people and start being inspired.
Indeed.
Read, and I'm telling you, you won't be disappointed.
Indeed.
I'll bring back some. I promise you, I'll bring back some.
A promise made is a debt unpaid according to Robert's service.
This one will be paid. This one will be paid. I'm telling you, we all need this. And I know most of you are going through this. I have personally been going through it. I've just come out of it. But I think it would be good for you to also get it.
Very important.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, of course, one of the people that need inspiring this morning is Isma, my very good friend, who supports Argentina. Isma.
But he will bounce back.
But you'll bounce back. Isma, is this at the end of the day, should we be very sad that Messi didn't take the World Cup, or just getting to the finals was enough for him as an achievement?
I think it can be deemed as something that is enough for him, but there is no reason to be sad. That's what sport is. Germany were the best team and they are world champions for a reason. And I thought on the night, Argentina will only rule the chances that Gonzalo Higuain and Rodrigo Palacio did worse. But I thought Germany were the best team. They scored 18 goals, and that's a testament of what the best team is at the World Cup. We'll also, Brian, discuss at length what we think about Messi. We'll discuss Brazil. They delivered a good tournament, but conceded 10 goals in the last 2 games of the World Cup. That's quite something. I've been screaming the entire weekend. I need to tell you about it. I was at the rugby club. I watched Power Warriors and a lot more sport. I was in Cleveland in spirit because I wasn't there in body as LeBron James re-signed with the Cleveland Cavaliers. That and more when we get to sport.
Well, stay with us. We'll be talking the World Cup and more sport when we return. Good morning.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
Aro, give me 5 stress, 3 gonorrhea.
Kale muli wano, you think you've brought passes omwana yena sobola gamba super deep. Si miaka jafe.
I'm like, I like my swag too. So what about it? Then she was like, I also like your accent. That village accent. Now.
Okay, why didn't say when you got political Tayaka no Mozanga Nakajawa?
Katina Kambuza, why are you crying?
I think I'm Big Mitch, Larry Hoover. Put that in Kiprotich's accent.
I think I'm Big Mitch, Larry Hoover.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat. Follow the beat. Follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat. Follow the beat.
You can bring everybody in parliament as long as they can wake up and vote for the NRM.
As long as the voters exercise their rights to elect their leaders, there was no need for term limits in Uganda.
I know him. I know how he operates. I know how he thinks.
There are ways you can go around these obstacles.
Why should I conduct myself as if I am Muyai?
It's absolutely true. I admired the President Museveni.
Is the ICC a fascistic code targeting African leaders?
You cannot tell me that the whole trouble Kenya had revolved about only the 2 individuals.
The money is not in the budget of this financial year.
You can't beat God. You see, God is polygamous also. Look at Jeremiah chapter 31.
The security of this country will largely depend on the contribution that the people make.
The average age of the entire national team is under 18. And so
the primary role of Team Uganda is to remain to Division 2.
Probably that's the only thing that
Ferguson had the same group of players, and he did deliver the Holy Grail, which is the title.
On the next episode, brought to you by
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet.
Shine. Is that clear enough?
What's the meaning of this? I'm Patricia, Ricardo's wife. Now, what do you want from my husband?
I love Gabrielle, but I swear Veronica scares me.
How is he doing, doctor? The patient's heart is healthy.
Miss Antonia Guerra, what can you tell us about the judicial process?
Antonia, help me, please.
La Patrona.
You can download movies at the lowest prices and never fast from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
A very good morning. If you're just joining us, feel free to go to Facebook, Morning at NTV. Twitter is available at Morning at NTV. And of course, send us a message, 6565. Some people took cups last week and they're enjoying their beautiful coffee mugs. And they sent me pictures when they were testing.
I was out when you're giving away the cups, and I was told one of the viewers was happy that I'm a Musoga. Yes, but I'm a lot more than that. But it's the best. It's the
you are
best.
faster Uganda.
So I'm not sure whether I'm faster Uganda. I ndi Musoga mwini. Yeah, both my parents are Musoga.
Hey, you are hardcore Musoga. You're hardcore
blood, body, spirit.
Yeah, hardcore Musoga. Well, you know, it's a feeling. Well, some of us, we are tired because we stayed up watching the match. But for many, disappointed. But what a final.
What a final. The third time that a European side won the World Cup of the last 5. Actually, the last 3 in a row have been won by Europe, and actually 4 of the last 5. Eventually, Mario Götze proving the difference as he came off the bench to score the goal with 8 minutes to the end of the game. A game that, for me, I'll remember for everything. I don't think either side threw too much away over the 90 minutes, and that's why it went eventually into extra time. But on the other hand, I think Argentina will look back at those 2 chances. Okay, 3 of them. Gonzalo Higuain, that back pass from Toni Kroos, he should have scored. Then Rodrigo Palacio should have come. Is a very, very bad woman. And actually, at that point, I kept on feeling that the moment Argentina don't bury these chances, they are going to lose the game. And actually, I thought when they got into extra time, against the Germans, Argentina, knowing that they had played another 120 minutes in the semi-final, they didn't stand a chance for me. They didn't stand a chance to get past that. Because the moment you have this body exhaustion, because look at it this way, after whatever Argentina had done, with 8 minutes from time, you expect every team to have shut shop, now ball, and there's probably no defender between him and the ball. Between Mario Götze and the ball. That means the nearest defender is probably in Jinja and Mario Götze is right here in Kampala. In that kind of case, even if it was a tough chance to take because it was in a very bad angle, to go on and win it. I was so pleased for one thing that I thought the best team won. I'm always extremely sad when teams that don't deserve to win. Especially, one of us I would say recently, and you forgive me, is Chelsea when they won the Champions League, is Greece when they won the Euro. I'm so pleased when the best team wins. And Germany were the best team to score 18 goals. But I think the silver lining for them is that there's been this thing about Europe not winning outside of their continent. Germany became the first team to do it. And then more importantly, they had not won a World Cup since reunification. Because the last World Cups they won, the last 3 were won by West Germany. Now eventually they went and did the job. And a manager who is not probably in the same speak like Oliver Bierhoff, not in the same speak like Bertie Vogts, not Rudi Völler, all the managers they've had in recent years. And it's Joachim Löw. He's not as great a player as all the others who have coached Germany in recent times. And he's a guy who delivers it. And I remember telling you here that I have a feeling that Germany will win for one reason, my illogical law of averages. They've got so close. 4 consecutive semi-final appearances. They lost in the semi-final 4 years ago. They lost in the semi-final in 2006. They lost in the final in 2002. Why not give it to these guys?
The universe gives it to you eventually.
Somehow that's how sometimes sport works like that.
So with that logic, are we saying that the next
That's why I call it illogical. First call it illogical.
The Netherlands.
Probably Netherlands.
Analysis.
No, they've got
Close
probably
too many times.
Close too many times. They lost the World Cup final in 1974. They lost another in 78. They lost the semi-final in 98. Their margin sometimes stretch.
He lost it in
2010.
Yes.
But some of those are stretches. They go about 10 years before they compete. Because why you say they lost in 2010, they didn't even qualify for the World Cup in 2002. But Germany have qualified for each, and look where they get. So probably I'd love to see Netherlands knock on the door for 3 successive tournaments, get to the semi-final, final. Thereafter, my logical averages will come in, and then that will win. But they should change their jersey. I don't think orange will win. Because back in 1950, I remember Brazil used to wear blue. Then they lost that final to Uruguay in 1950. They changed to yellow. 5 titles later, yellow is the color.
And they tried to wear it this thing and see what they
shipped inside.
Well, Lionel Messi was given the golden ball, but I guess there's a bit of an empty feeling there. I was reading earlier, and they were saying you have the best player versus the best defense team. What do you have to say?
I think, first of all, I'll join the world in condemning Lionel Messi winning the golden ball. I don't think he deserved it. It's supposed to be for the best player at the World Cup. I don't think he is. And everyone will make an argument against Messi, will say he didn't score in the knockout phase. For me, that won't even be it. I don't think he was the best player. I don't think it was. Either Thomas Muller or Ian Robben. Simple. But I think all the people who vote, and I've always felt this thing, that there's this universal love for Messi, except outside Uganda. In Uganda, I don't think it's there. But everywhere else in football, I think everyone who votes this award, is this universal feeling and probably sympathy for Messi, because he looks the smallest and looks the most skilled player in world football. So I think sometimes it's voted on that way. But you look at it, he scored goals in the group stages, 4 of them. Okay, set up a goal that won Argentina the game against Switzerland when they struggled for Angel Di Maria. But thereafter, yesterday, it was almost non-existent. Bino will blame him for having lost
actually
Argentina.
featured in the first 45 minutes of the match.
When Argentina were in control.
Yeah.
But thereafter, he faded badly. I don't think... Honestly, I don't think he won the gold. I don't think he deserved the golden ball. But for me, one thing I've already said, first of all, there aren't enough awards in sport. If I wanted to give an award, there are so many people I would want to give awards across the World Cup. There are so many of them. And then 2, I don't think awards are everything to represent who the best was, whether it's a Ballon d'Or, whether it's a Golden Ball. I'd rather go with the statistic ones, like James Rodriguez for top scorer. You can't cheat that. You score 6 and you're top scorer. The others score 3 and 4 and 5. Yeah. You're better than them. So in that kind of sense, I have a feeling that this is so empty, like maybe you said. It's
was it a compass, like something to... It was a sympathy vote to just, okay, you've lost the World Cup.
Yeah. That's what I say. This universal thing for Messi, and probably Blatter put it in the best way. When he gave an interview about before Cristiano Ronaldo won, when he said the difference between Ronaldo and Messi is that Messi is every parent's dream, the son who never breaks the rules.
Yeah.
Now Ronaldo is a bit like the command of the army. When he stands, everyone has to follow. And I think that's the kind of sympathy people vote for.
And that's what people don't like.
That's what people don't like. That is the difference between the 2 players. I don't think he was the best player at the World Cup. You forgive me, I don't think he was.
A picture of Lowe giving him a very tight hug. Best pictures I think I've seen this morning.
Yeah, and Lowe actually, before he brought on Mario Götze, he had actually told him that go there and show the world you're better than Messi. You're better than Messi. And Mario Götze, what does he do? He scores the winner of the World Cup. And you see the players who have won the World Cup. I love football for the shorter players, from Iniesta to Götze. The total height is probably 10 foot. And the one who lifted the trophy is probably 6 or even less, or even 3 feet.
Lam is 6.
No, he can't be. I'm just
that's
half of 6.
Yeah. But the highlight of the World Cup, I probably forget Germany, but I'll never forget Brazil.
Sure, no one can.
10 goals in the last 2 matches. How did this happen?
First of all, Luis Felipe Scolari has resigned as Brazil coach, even after he was given backing by the CBF, which is a confederation of Brazilian football. He's resigned this morning, and that is only